create an instructional video using iMovie. Once you've opened iMovie, you click the plus at the top left-hand side and then select Movie. This automatically takes you to your camera roll, where you can select photographs and videos that you already have saved. The order you select them will be the order they appear in your timeline. So I'm going to select an opening animation and then 3 screenshots from DigiLearn Scott, and then Create Movie at the bottom. You can see now these elements have been added to my timeline. So let's look at how we can customize our movie. When I select an element in the timeline, whether it's a video or a photograph, you will see the menu appears along the bottom. From Actions, this is where I can duplicate any element. I could split this animation into 2. I could speed it up. I could increase any volume if I've added any music or narration. I can add titles and I can add filters. So let's speed up the animation. So I'm just going to use the speed icon and then use the handle and pull it towards the hair. If I wanted to slow it down, I would pull it towards the tortoise at the other side. So let's play this just to make sure it's not too fast. I think that's fine. So the next element I'd like to edit on my timeline is the first photograph. So I'm going to select it and then the menu appears at the bottom, but you'll also notice there's a Ken Burns effect. Now by default, when you add any photographs, Ken Burns effect is already enabled. So let's see what that does. When I select play, you can see it's scrolling over the photographs I've added to my timeline. So I can customize this or I could disable it. So the first photograph, I would like to just disable the Ken Burns effect by just clicking on the bottom icon. So that's now been disabled, so it's not going to scroll from one side of the photograph to the other. But I would like to pinch and drag it so I can see the title. I can also zoom in by pinching my fingers apart and together. So I'm just going to reposition this photograph and I'm happy with it there. I'm now going to add a title onto this first photograph and you'll see the titles appear at the bottom. Now one title in this selection is linked to the theme. Now the theme can be changed from clicking on the cogwheel icon at the top right hand side of the screen. And there's about 7 themes to choose from. I'm going to choose the news theme for this movie. You'll also see there's a project filter and that will add a filter on to all the elements in my timeline. I can also add the soundtrack for the theme, fade in from black and fade out to black. So I'm just going to click on the cogwheel to get rid of the menu and then I'm going to select the first example of a title screen. Now this is the one that's linked to the theme and remember I picked news and underneath all the titles I can choose this one to be opening, middle or closing titles. So I'm going to leave it at the closing titles because I don't want to use the opening one because I'm losing a lot of my photograph. So I quite like the closing one. I now want to edit my title, so I would select the text just by clicking on it with my finger. I would delete it and then start typing my own text. So I'm quite happy with that. So I've disabled the Ken Burns effect and I've added a title. I would now like to add a narration to this slide here, and I would also like to customize the Ken Burns effect. So I'm going to select the photograph. You'll know it's selected because the menu appears at the bottom and there's a yellow line all the way around it. So I'm going to select Actions, and for the Ken Burns effect, you pinch for the start position, which will be there. And then the arrow underneath it determines where the Ken Burns effect will stop scrolling. So I'd like it to stop scrolling just beside this menu. And then I can play that back to see how it looks. You can see how it's slowly scrolling in to the area that I want to showcase to my audience. I would now like to add a narration over this slide. To add a narration, I would click on the microphone on the left-hand side of this screen. You will then get a countdown. Once the countdown's finished, you start narrating and then you click stop. You then have the option to either accept that recording or to re-record. So let's see how it works. Let's look at sharing practice. We have guest bloggers from the community and posts from the regional improvement collaboratives. So I've clicked stop and I'm going to click accept. But you can see how my narration lasts much longer than my photograph. So I need to edit this. So I'm going to select the photograph, use the yellow handle and click and drag. So it's slightly longer than my narration. I can also edit my narration so you can see the element that I'm speaking. So I'd select the recording and again I can use the yellow handles to click and drag. So let's just check this to make sure it works okay. Sharing practice. We have guest bloggers from the community and posts from the regional improvement collaboratives. Now I think I maybe edited this too much, so I'm going to select it and then just pull it back again. And now play it again. Look at sharing practice. We have guest. Look at sharing practice. Oh, let me try that once more. Let's look at sharing practice. We have guest bloggers from the community and posts from the regional improvement collaboratives. I'm just going to edit this and pull this one back. So that sounded fine. If I wanted to increase the volume, I would select the narration and volume then appears at the bottom where I can simply click and drag to make it slightly louder. I can also fade in the narration if I want. So let's add one more narration to this slide here. I'm going to click record. Let's look at posts from the Northern Alliance. Again, it's longer than my photograph, so I'm going to select my photograph and pull it to make it slightly longer. You will know how long it's going to play for because you will see that at the very top of your screen when you're clicking and dragging. So I can see this one's going to last for 6 seconds. So I would like to add the animation at the end of my movie as well. So I'm going to select the animation and then duplicate at the bottom. I can then simply click and drag until I get it to the end. I can also change the transitions by selecting one and then the various options appear at the bottom along with how long they're going to last. But I'm going to leave this the way it is. The last thing I'd like to add to my movie is a background soundtrack, and this can be done by clicking on the plus at the top right hand side. From here, this is where I can add any additional photographs or videos, but I can also add the audio by selecting audio at the bottom right of the screen. From here I can add some sound effects. I can add from my music, making sure it's copyright free, or I can use the copyright free soundtracks that are already included in iMovie. So I'm just going to select this one. Click the plus. You can see that that's now added it to the whole movie. The software knows when I'm narrating and will automatically lower the background soundtrack depending on when I am narrating. So let's have a look at what we've created. We've created a movie with an animation at the start. We've got transitions. We've got 3 photographs. The first one has Ken Burns' effect disabled, so it's static. And we have a title slide. We then customize the title slide by clicking on the text and typing our own. We then added a narration to a couple of photographs and we enabled the Ken Burns effect so we could scroll into the areas that we're describing in the movie. We duplicated the first animation and then we popped it in at the end as well. We know we can click on the plus and add additional photographs and videos from our camera roll and how we can add audio as well. So let's just play back this movie. let's look at sharing practice. We have guest bloggers from the community and posts from the Regional Improvement Collaboratives. Let's look at posts from the Northern Alliance. And you can see it's automatically fading out the soundtrack when we come towards the end of the movie. So if you want to edit any element, remember you always select them and the menu will appear at the bottom, whether it's a photograph, a narration, or simply the soundtrack. So now I'm happy with my movie. I'm going to click Done at the top left-hand side, and I'd like to name my movie. So by default, it gives you a My Movie and then a number at the end of it. But if I select it, I can then just edit it. I can also go in to edit the movie even further. I can play the movie by hitting play at the bottom, and that will play in full screen mode. I can delete the movie, but more importantly, I can click the export and I can save the finished project as I've saved video.